So we've won the die roll. We will take the play. And let's see here. This hand is fine. It's not great. We're missing another mana producer. So if we keep this, we could be punished. But if we find land on top or any mana producer, we're doing okay. So this is a very close decision. Some of the cards are going to be quite dead until later in the game, but they are very good cards. And with Priest of Titania here, I think we're going to risk it. We will keep, and hopefully we will not be punished. So we're playing against Countertop. This is someone we've played against before. Don't recall what they were playing at the time. Okay, Seed of the Synod and Chromatic Star, so that could mean a couple of things. Some sort of affinity deck. We find Forest off the top, that's the perfect draw. I'm thinking probably Priest of Titania here to get maximum mana, and then we can play Elvish Vanguard, Timberwatch Elf. So we'll just attack for 1 here. We can make 1 mana, but that doesn't cast anything in our hand. And next turn we're looking at play Priest of Vanguard, tap Priest of Titania for 3 mana, play Timberwatch Elf. Okay, here's a Prophetic Prism. So they're going nice and slow, allowing us to build up, but we're doing the same for them. Looks like a... well, what could this list be? In any event, let's not worry about that right now. The extra land here means that we can hold up Prohibit. Okay, we're going to attack with the Birchlore Rangers, and then the Vanguard plus Timberwatch Elf make a blue mana, and we can prohibit their next play. And then next turn, we're going to be able to Distant Melody, and we also have access to a huge amount of damage with Timberwatch Elf. Timberwatch Elf will give one of our creatures +4/+4. And if we manage to find a Quirion Ranger off the top of the deck, we'll be able to do +5/+5 twice, which would be nearly lethal. Okay, they still haven't presented any creatures, and they're passing with no mana. I was not interested in countering any of those spells. I could not counter the Thought Cast. Okay, we find the Quirion Ranger. Fantastic. Let's play it. Okay, that will grow the Vanguard. Now let's take a moment here. Oh, we don't even need to. The opponent has conceded. They see the writing on the wall and how much pressure we have available. So they've gone ahead and saved us the trouble. So we're playing against some kind of affinity deck. I think that the 3 Gleeful Sabotage will do quite well. Otherwise, I'm not very interested in the rest of what we have for the sideboard. I think we can probably take out Wellwisher. And as for the 3rd cut, not quite sure what I want to make for the 3rd cut to get the 3rd Gleeful Sabotage into the deck. Leaning towards the Distant Melody, but we're on the draw here, so we might want to keep our draw spells so that we can refuel. We might actually want Red Elemental Blast, because if they're playing Atog, the Elemental Blast will do quite well, but they could be playing the Brute Squad. Although I think Brute Squad would have had creatures to play, so maybe we want to bring in the Blue Elemental Blasts to take out their Atogs. We won game 1, so we'll keep them in the sideboard, and if we see red spells, we'll bring them in for game 3. Our 1 card we're going to take out. Okay, we're going to take out either the Huntmaster or the Melody. Let's take out one Melody and submit. Okay, so again we have a 1-land hand, but this time we have 2 Birchlore Rangers, 2 1-drops. So we're doing a little bit better than we were last time. We're going to keep. We also have Gleeful Sabotage to be able to 2-for-1 the opponent. And Priest of Titania makes so much mana that if we draw land in our next 2 turns, we can put Priest of Titania out on turn 2 and explode from there. Okay, we do draw land. Fantastic. Start out with a Birchlore Rangers. And then next turn we'll play Priest of Titania, Birchlore Rangers. I really would like to be able to Gleeful Sabotage. But we won't be able to do that this turn. We'll have to wait till next turn. In order to have the 2 creatures I need for Conspire, I would have to play Birchlore Rangers and then tap them both to Sabotage. So we'll play Priest of Titania, Birchlore Rangers. Okay, and that's all we can do this turn. Next turn we're going to be looking to basically play out our hand. Our plan here is to kill all their artifacts, but they're going to sacrifice 2 for 3 here. So we're going to lose out on quite a bit of value. But we do have the Distant Melody to recoup our losses. I don't think we want a Gleeful Sabotage for 1. We really want to do it for 2. So we'll play Priest of Titania and pass. That means we do not have blue mana for Distant Melody because our Birchlore Rangers were taken out. Okay, our opponent is starting to do Boros Monarch things. So it looks like this is Jeskai Monarch. We don't see too much of Jeskai since Astrolabe was banned. But if they get all their mana, then Jeskai is one of the best color combinations in the game. They have access to Muldrifter as well as Ephemerate. So we could play the Priest of Titania, but then we won't have mana to Gleeful Sabotage with Conspire. I think we do still want to play the Priest. So we have access to 2 mana from the Priest, but we can't do anything with that, so we'll pass. Do not want to play Gleeful Sabotage, as I was saying. I want to Conspire with it. Okay, they have plenty of lands at this point. We're going to be looking to target probably their Prophetic Prism and their Great Furnace with Sabotage. So they'll stop drawing cards and they'll no longer have access to red. What do we find here? We get Quirion Ranger. Fantastic. So that will allow us to do a couple of interesting things. Unfortunately, we do not have access to blue mana. So we can play the Quirion Ranger. Then we can tap a Priest of Titania for mana. We can untap the Priest, return the Forest, play the Forest, and then play Gleeful Sabotage with Conspire. We'll destroy the Prophetic Prism. Okay, hold on a second. Cast with Conspire, Prophetic Prism, pay 1. Okay, tap 2 creatures, so we'll tap the Quirion Ranger and the Priest. Okay, and then we get to choose a new copy, so we'll choose Great Furnace. Like I said, this is the first time for some of these spells to be cast on Modo, so I'm still learning some of how the deck interacts. We have gotten a 2-for-1 here, but the opponent is still in the lead. They have 2/3 flyers, putting up some serious pressure. Our 1/1s are not going to be able to handle that. We need access to some blue mana. Okay, we find Sylvan Ranger, which gives us blue mana. Yes, use the ability, go get Island, play Island. We'll tap the Priest of Titania and the Island and play Distant Melody. And then we'll name Elf. Okay, that'll draw us 4 cards. So we can play, let's see here, we can play the Llanowar Elves first, but I would actually rather play the Vanguard, so we'll play that and tap this. Okay, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we'll play the Huntmaster. Now, the Elvish Vanguard is going to be getting +2/+2 every time we cast an elf spell from here on out. But first thing I want to do is untap a Priest of Titania, so we can make more mana and play another Huntmaster. And then we'll play Llanowar Elves. Okay, and at this point here, we're putting up quite a bit of pressure. We have Distant Melody in hand, but no way to cast it currently. So it looks like we can attack with the Quirion Ranger and then pass. Okay, at this point we can untap again, but I don't see any value to untapping anything. We would just be taking a forest back into hand. So I think we want to wait here on our heels and see what the opponent has. A sweeper would still do quite a bit of work, but we would be left with the Vanguard and the Huntmasters. Okay, here's Atog. So that is a problem. That is something we need to block. But they no longer have red mana for Fling or Battle Rage. So we only need to keep one creature back to block it. Let's see what we draw here. We're going to have Distant Melody to draw out our deck. We're going to draw a ton of cards with that. Okay, we get Elvish Mystic. So we'll start with Forest, play the Mystic to get more card draw, more mana. That one Mystic is going to draw us 3 extra cards. Okay, we'll tap the, let's see here, the Llanowar Elves, Island, Forest, and play Distant Melody. And then we have access to so many cards, so much value. How are we going to play this from here? So we'll tap Priest of Titania, play Vanguard. Okay, we should just go ahead and yield to these. Play another Huntmaster. Okay, we'll play Lead the Stampede. Unfortunately, the Gruesome Fate is going to the bottom of the library. Okay, we have 3 mana left, so we'll play Birchlore Rangers. One of these will be good for making blue or black mana. Play Nettle Sentinel, I suppose. Unfortunately, our second Vanguard has Summoning Sickness, so we'll have to keep that back. We have mana for one more spell, but we also have Priest of Titania to keep on casting, so we can cast basically everything out of our hand. Okay, now we need to worry about Distant Melody at this point. We have too many elves. If we cast Distant Melody, we will die. Just have a ton of forests in hand. And then we'll attack with everything. They must block the Vanguard with the Glint Hawk. And then if they go ahead and kill something else on my board, I don't care. We have access to another pair of Quirion Rangers here, so I don't mind losing one of them. And we'll pass from here and hope that we don't lose to a Fling. We will be able to play around Temur Battle Rage. It'll just take a little bit of counting. We should be able to put a slew of Elven Warriors in front of an Atog, and that'll keep us from dying. But they need red mana for that, which they have now with Chromatic Star. If, however, they have Fling, then there's nothing we can do. They'll just win. Okay, there's the red mana. Okay, looks like they have the Fling. Good game. Okay, I thought that this was more of a Monarch list, but it looks like an Atog list. So we'll change our deck accordingly. We have nothing to do here. Fling just wins the game. Okay, so we're going to want the blue elemental blasts. Spidersilk Armor also has a place here because they are playing the Crack Clan Shaman, which can kill our dudes. But we're on the play here, so I'm hoping that we can do something fast enough that they won't have that chance. We do definitely want the Prohibits. They both counter Fling and Temur Battle Rage and Atog. So does Blue Elemental Blast, counters all the important spells. But we do need to take 2 more cards out at this point. I'm considering Nettle Sentinel, but Nettle Sentinel combos quite well with Birchlore Rangers, so I might want to keep that. I might want to take out one of the Gleeful Sabotage, and then I would only need to take out maybe 1 Distant Melody, and we'll submit with this. Yes, I would like to play. We find a no land hand, so we will mulligan. This hand has 1 land and Birchlore Rangers, so it is a risk, but we will keep. We have to put 1 card back. We want to keep the Sylvan Rangers. I'm thinking about putting the Huntmaster back. That's going to take the longest time to cast. And we wanted the Blue Elemental Blast to save ourselves from an Atog. Now, again, we are keeping a 1 land hand with a lot of 2 mana spells, so we are at the mercy of the top of our deck. If we find land on top, we're golden. If we find 1 drop on top, we're doing okay. This is the other possibility. We find 2 drop on top, and we just can't do anything. It was a risk. Okay, so they have a Prophetic Prism as their first play. There's going to be nothing else coming. And we find another 2-drop off the top. That is miserable. Well, that's what I get for not mulliganing down to 5. Okay, here's a Wellspring. Let's hope they miss on land. Okay, they're discarding, so we're both a little bit mana screwed. We find Quirion Ranger. That's excellent. That's about the best card we could draw that isn't land. And we can play the Priest of Titania and then the Sylvan Ranger. So first thing we're going to do is make a green mana, tap these, and then we're going to use this to untap Birchlore Rangers, and that'll give us the forest to play. And we'll play Priest of Titania, because we've already played a land here. We do have access to 1 more mana, so we could Blue Elemental Blast if they put down an Atog. So we are not going to attack. We might want to hold the Blue Elemental Blast and try and counter their Fling instead, or destroy the Atog in response to a Temur Battle Rage. That might be a better play. Either way, we have access to a ton of mana this turn. Okay, here's the Crack Clan Shaman, so we're going to want to counterspell that. Okay, that worked out. We would have lost everything there. I think we want to play Priest of Titania, and then we can untap and do a bunch of stuff. We actually probably want to play Vanguard first. So we'll make a green mana by tapping these 2 and play Vanguard. Then we will tap Priest of Titania and then untap the Priest, play our forest, and then we can play Lead the Stampede. I think I actually want to be playing Elves here instead. That'll get us more mana. So we'll play the Timberwatch Elf. And then we'll play the Priest of Titania. And then we'll play the Lead the Stampede. Okay, we get 4 cards. We can play the Vanguard. Then we can play the Quirion Ranger. So Birchlore Rangers is going to let us play out the rest of our hand, basically. Okay, I don't want to tap the Vanguard, actually. I want to tap something else. Okay, I think that's enough. We'll pass. We have 2 big Vanguards ready to go. So they need to put down some pressure immediately, or we are golden. We also have the Timberwatch Elf, so anything that's unblocked is going to do massive damage. They are in a very difficult position at this moment. Okay, Thought Cast, that's fine. I'm looking for a concede right now, and we got it. No 1-drops, but we do have 2 lands and 2 drops we're going to keep and hope that we find 1 drop. Okay, they're starting with a Radiant Fountain, which could mean several things. They're probably going to play a Karoo land next, and we find another 2-drop. So we'll play Forest Go. Now, if this is going to be a long, drawn-out game, we have access to so many draw spells that I think we'll get there. But I have been wrong before. The Mystic is a little bit late. So I think that I want to play Priest of Titania first, and that will get me quite a bit of mana next turn, because I can play Sylvan Ranger into Mystic, or if I draw land, I can play Vanguard into Mystic. I suppose with the Priest of Titania, I can play Vanguard into Mystic or Ranger regardless. So we're going to start with Priest and hope that it survives for a turn. If it survives, then I'm feeling pretty good about our chances. If it's killed, then we're going to be playing from the back foot. Okay, here's a Bonder's Ornament. So they're going to be looking to value us out. But we have so many cards to draw cards that I'm not too worried about the value they're going to be getting from the ornament. I'm more worried about counter spells and removal spells. We get to keep the Priest of Titania for our 3rd turn, so that's gas. Thinking about playing Vanguard into Ranger and get Island. Okay, we'll play the island, and then we pass. So we need 1 more turn without them messing with our stuff, and we're doing pretty well. Okay, Palace Sentinels, so they're going to become the Monarch. They're looking to draw more cards. That's fine. As long as they aren't Galv Blasting our Priest of Titania, we're okay with this. Okay, they draw a card and don't even attack. We find Timberwatch Elf, one of our better creatures. So we're going to start with Mystic Mystic, and that'll give the Priest of Titania more mana generation, as well as growing our Vanguard. Looks like they're going to kill the Priest of Titania now. No, they're killing the Vanguard now. That's fascinating. That's fine. Yeah, you can kill the Vanguard. We want to keep the Priest. Okay, so we have access to 4 mana. We could play the Distant Melody now, but I would rather play Lead the Stampede. And then we can play another Priest of Titania. Fantastic. Did we play a land this turn? I don't think that matters. We can't make any more mana. We only have access to the 2, so I think I want to play Priest of Titania. And then we will pass. So if the opponent has main deck Electrickery, we're in a bit of trouble. Otherwise, we're doing very well right now. We have 2 priests to make immense amounts of mana, and we're looking to be playing our 2 Timberwatch Elves on the next turn, which will give us a quick route to victory. So let's see, we have access to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 mana. That's plenty. Yeah, they can attack. We have no problem with that. No blocks. And draw an extra card. Okay, no land. I think we want to use our 2 forests here to play a Timberwatch Elf. We could also play the Mystic into Priest of Titania or Sylvan Ranger to get more mana from the priests. Okay, we'll go get Forest. Play Forest. Okay, we still have access to 2 mana, so we can play Priest of Titania before we start tapping our other priests. Okay, that's 8. So we'll go ahead and cast Distant Melody. And we'll still have plenty of mana to cast both of our Timberwatch Elf. Okay. The Wellwisher here is quite nice as well. So we'll play Wellwisher. I think we'll play Huntmaster first. Want to get those Huntmasters down so that we can start getting value from them. We have access to 1 mana left over. So we're going to have to tap our Priest of Titania to get more mana at this point. Now we have 10. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I want to play both of the Timberwatch Elf. So that's 6, 7, 8. If I want the Wellwisher down. So we'll lose 2 mana that way. I think that's fine to get the Wellwisher and the 2 Timberwatch Elves, and we'll leave the Huntmaster in hand. Okay, they do have something. And a Braid to get rid of our other Huntmaster. Okay. So at this point, we could play Huntmaster Wellwisher. Or we could play another Timberwatch Elf. Plus Wellwisher. Personally, I like 2 Timberwatch Elves plus Wellwisher, so we'll do that. Not perfect on mana, but that's okay. We do not have any Birchlore Rangers, so we cannot produce black mana. So we just have to pass here. We have nothing else to do. We could attack with our 1/1, but that seems poor. So we'll just pass. Okay, they kill one of our Timberwatch Elves. But we have another Timberwatch Elf plus Wellwisher. So they have to get rid of both of those. Okay, spare supplies, that comes into play tapped. But they do get value off it immediately. And they tap something for red mana. Hopefully it's not Electrickery. No, it's Golden Egg. Again, I don't expect to see Electrickery game 1, but it would be a fine thing for a deck to have it as a singleton in the main and then have extra copies in the board, especially if the deck can play Faithless Looting. Okay, we're going to be looking to hold up Prohibit from here on out, and if we can, cast the Gruesome Fate. We have plenty of ways to draw cards here with Lead the Stampede. but we should have no problem playing a forest out. Okay, we find Quirion Ranger, which can untap the Timberwatch Elf or the Wellwisher. So that's a fantastic option. I'm thinking about starting with a Huntmaster and then playing Quirion Ranger and go from there. Learning my triggers here to get it going a little bit faster. Okay, so we're in the main step. We want to lead the Stampede from here. And holding up blue mana for Prohibit. We do find the Birchlore Rangers, so let's see if we can win just by using Gruesome Fate. Just have to be careful here not to click through anything. Yeah, with the 2 Huntmasters, I think we'll have enough creatures. So this should be going up to 25. Okay, and then we'll use this. Tap to make black. And Gruesome Fate. And if they try and counterspell the Gruesome Fate, we have Prohibit. Or if they try and gain life. Oh, no, okay, so they will gain life with that. That's fine. They'll go to 2, and then we can attack with everything. We'll leave one of the Priest of Titania back. Attack with all creatures, put this back. We want to hold that to pump up whatever creature, and we hold this back. Okay, so they should just be dead. We didn't need to attack with Wellwisher here. That was a little bit of a mistake, but it should be fine. It looks like they're going to be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage anyway, so we don't even need to activate the Timberwatch Elf. Okay. So we're playing against a Boros Monarch deck. Again. There is the question of, do we want to bring in Red Elemental Blast? Or sorry, Blue Elemental Blast? It counters Electrickery, so I think that's enough reason to bring it in. On the other hand, we could bring in Spidersilk Armor instead, which I think is the better option in this matchup because most of their creatures have flying. The Scattershot Archer isn't very good in this matchup, unfortunately, because it takes 2 archers or archer plus Quirion Ranger to kill a hawk, so we're not really looking to be doing that. Wellwisher can grant us quite a bit of time in this matchup, so we're going to want to keep that in. Hey there, handsome. Welcome back. Just playing against Boros here, getting our little green min onto the board. I think I do want to keep the Prohibit, but I might actually change the Prohibit to Blue Elemental Blast, because Blue Elemental Blast will counter the spells that we care about from the opponent's deck for 1 fewer mana. Okay, we do definitely want to keep our card advantage spells in. One of the ways this matchup can go is the opponent will just get so much card advantage that they'll be able to kill all of our cards. But I still need to take 3 cards out. 20-second delay, that is quite significant. I don't understand why that's happening. Wow, it's really hard to figure out what to take out here because all the cards are so necessary. We're going to take out one of the Vanguards because they have Journey to Nowhere. We're going to take out one of the Mana Dorks. And we'll take out one of the Distant Melodies. Okay, so we have a 1-land hand. We have 2 1-land plays we're going to keep. We've done better with worse. Or I should say we've done well with worse. So Quirion Ranger is a fantastic draw here. We're going to start with a Birchlore Rangers and pass back. We want to keep the Quirion Ranger in hand. It's going to be much more valuable to us next turn, giving us access to, I believe, 3 mana total. And that doesn't change if we get a land. Okay, no land. So we'll play the Quirion Ranger first. Then we will make a green mana. Then we will untap and play our land. So we can play Priest of Titania, Birchlore Rangers. Okay, let's pass. So we had a 1-land hand, and on turn 2 we were able to play 3 extra spells. Handsome saying Clover is a common, huh? And you know what else is common? Cauldron Familiar. That's right, the Black Cat is common. It was downgraded. Okay, so we find Forest here, and we have access to tons of mana. I want to get the Spidersilk Armor out this turn. We do also have the option of Distant Melody, but I would like to save that for a later turn. So let's just take a quick look at how much mana we actually have access to. So we have 4 mana, 5, 6, and then we can untap the Priest of Titania and make 10 total mana. So we can do just about everything. We can play Lead the Stampede, Spidersilk Armor, Wellwisher, and still have 2 mana left over. If we play Wellwisher first, we actually have even more mana, because the Priest of Titania will be tapping for more. So we'll play the Wellwisher. We'll tap the Priest for 5, and play Lead the Stampede. Okay, we draw 3 cards with that. Nettle Sentinel is very strong with Birchlore Rangers, so we're going to go ahead and play that as well. Just wondering if I want to play the Sylvan Ranger here, or if I want to play Timberwatch Elf. I mean, I guess I can play everything, right? Because I can untap the Priest of Titania. Is there a decent way to abuse Cauldron Familiar in Pauper? Yes. You can play Tortured Existence and Sacred Cow. And that's a 3-card combo that's going to give you food and allow you to continuously loop your Familiar and your Cow. Okay, so we're going to untap the Priest of Titania here. We can make a bunch more mana, and we'll play Spidersilk Armor. And it looks like we're still going to have enough mana for Distant Melody, but we have to watch that, because we aren't necessarily going to have enough mana to continually be playing our spells afterwards. So I'm fine with just playing the Sylvan Ranger, getting Island, and then passing back to the opponent with this incredible board. Okay. We have one Quirion Ranger which can attack. We could untap. No, we can't untap. So we definitely do not want to attack with a Quirion Ranger. We'll just pass. So we're looking pretty solid here with the Spidersilk Armor. They're going to have a hard time killing our creatures. They would need 2 Electrickery to do any serious damage. Okay, here's a Braid, getting rid of the Timberwatch Elf. So that's very smart on their part. Timberwatch Elf would basically kill them next turn. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're storming off. Mono green storm? No, it has blue. Okay, so the opponent is passing with single mana open. They could have Galv Blast, but if they did, I think they would have already killed the Priest of Titania. We'll play Island. I want to play the Huntmaster so we can get an extra card draw from the Melody. So we're going to tap the Priest, play the Huntmaster, and then we'll play the Melody and we can untap Priest. Okay, so we find Lead the Stampede, Birchlore Rangers, and another Timberwatch Elf, as well as Quirion Ranger to untap our Priest of Titania again. Hey Handsome, do any of those commands bring up the expected values? I haven't gotten around to putting any bots into the chat yet. Okay, so we're going to untap the Priest. We might actually want to consider tapping some of our creatures here. Let's see here. So that's 2 mana. We want to use the Nettle Sentinel because that'll untap when we play the Timberwatch Elf. And the Huntmaster here. Yeah, I thought it would too. Alright, I'll have to spend some time and get some bots for this channel. I'll figure out how to do that at some point during this week. I did a little bit of research. I'll get Nightbot and see what MTG bot is about. Okay, so we have no mana left, but we can tap these guys, so that's cool. Let's see here. Where is the Birchlore Rangers? We tap the Nettle Sentinel and the new Elf token. Play Quirion Ranger. We're basically gaining mana at this point every time we play a card. Okay, and then we're going to untap the Priest of Titania so we can lead the Stampede. Let's see here. The big guys usually put bots over game chat, the overlay of Twitch chat over game chat. Yeah, there's still a lot for me to learn as far as Twitch goes. Okay, unfortunately, we cycle through. We put the Gruesome Fate at the bottom of our library, but we do draw 4 for 3 mana. So we're going to go ahead and play the Huntmaster. And then everything else. Okay, what turn are we on here? This is kind of ridiculous. Okay, so do we have any Timberwatch Elf? None that are available. We could attack with our... Looks like one of our Huntmasters is not sick, so we could attack with that. And we have the Wellwisher to gain a huge amount of life. We could also attack with Nettle Sentinel, so we'll do that. Oh, it looks like they're both summoning sick, so that's fine. We'll leave that back, the Ranger. We'll just attack for 2 here. We'll have no problem untapping that next turn. Not that it really matters. We'll just go ahead and use the Wellwisher because we can. Turn 4. This is turn 4, ladies and gentlemen. Is this fair? This is Pauper. Okay, here's Galvblast on the Timberwatch Elf. Good play from the opponent. There's nothing we can do about that. So that means that they're not guaranteed dead, but they're still pretty dead. Yeah, I know, we have the one island. Well, we've been returning forests with the Quirion Ranger, so it is what it is. Here's another Sylvan Ranger. That's a garbage card. But we can attack with basically everything. We can play the Ranger to untap the Nettle Sentinel. We just need to consider what we need to hold back on the attack. I hold back Wellwisher. And since we have 2 Quirion Rangers, I think that's the only card I actually hold back. They do have access to some amount of spells here, but I'm not too afraid of whatever they could be doing. Our damage is so high. So I just want to hold back the Wellwisher. This is where math is for blockers comes in. Okay. 2 damage. No, they have a spell. Okay, so Prismatic Strand prevents all damage from green sources. So they are going to be able to kill my Birchlore Rangers, but I have 2 more, so I'm not afraid of that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and gain life. Was Clover banned? I don't believe it was. I don't have any memory of Clover being banned. I don't think there are enough adventure cards for it to be broken. Okay, so they're going to have access to Prismatic Strands again. They only have to tap one of their creatures to have access to it, so they could even safely attack. I say safely, they would trade it for a token, so attacking still seems quite bad. We do have reach because of Spidersilk Armor. And we draw another forest. Not really what we were looking for. So we're going to do another attack here, but they're going to be able to kill 2 of our creatures with their 2 Glinthawks plus Prismatic Strands. So we have to present a attack that is potentially lethal, but doesn't allow them to kill our important creatures. So we need to hold 1 Quirion Ranger, 1 Birchlore Ranger, and 1 Wellwisher back. Okay. I'm fine with this. We can lose 1 Huntmaster, that's no problem. And we don't need the Priest of Titania anymore. We already have incredible amounts of mana. I expect them to use Prismatic Strands here. There it is. So that card is taken care of. They could potentially still have more, but there's no way for us to know. We're just going to have to pass, and we can Wellwisher later. It would technically be better to Wellwisher before combat damage. So that's something that I could do better. Okay, here's a Core Skyfisher. They have access to 4 mana left over. Okay, they're tapping that, so they only have access to 2 mana now. Prismatic Strands is no longer an option unless they have Faithless Looting, but they play another land, so they do have access to it. They probably have another one in hand. Okay, we'll go ahead and gain a bunch of life, and we get Distant Melody. So let's do a quick count of how many elves we have. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And we have 29 cards in our library. So we can play the Distant Melody. It unfortunately will not draw us the Gruesome Fate, but we will be able to do a ton of things, and we will not draw out. Okay, we have 5 cards left in our library. Unfortunately, the blue elemental blasts are not prohibits. Prohibit would be quite good here. MTG banning cards like Mirrodin. Ugh. Maritimer, how so? I think that Handsome is referring that both myself and himself, exactly, East Coast Canada. Okay, let's see what else we have access to. We'll play another Vanguard. South Africa. Wow, that is quite a distance away. How did you find the stream, Crames? Was it just on the top page? Did you search for Pauper? Oh, hey, we found Gruesome Fate. Excellent. Well, we do love our Pauper here. Okay, so we found Gruesome Fate, so we should be able to win this turn. Their spell Prismatic Strands prevents damage, so this will just kill them outright. We do still have plenty of mana, so we can just go ahead and play a few more creatures out. But we do have to be aware of our clock here. We're almost out of time. Yeah, I wasn't sure about Gruesome Fate at first, but it seems to be a fantastic card when we're dealing with fog effects. Okay, so let's make a black mana at this point. Let's see here. Here's a Birchlore Ranger, make black. And we'll tap a token and play Gruesome Fate. So this should win the game. Okay, they're cycling the Suffocating Fumes. I don't know what they could be looking for here. Perhaps a counterspell, and they don't find it. Okay, this is an obvious mulligan. We have no lands. Just have to wait for our opponent here. Flicker, right? Almost certainly. I'm thinking this is probably 90% chance to be familiars. Oh, that's unfortunate. We're going to have to mulligan again. Okay, this is a keepable hand. We have Birchlore Rangers, and we're going to want to keep the Distant Melody to gas back up. We have to get rid of 2 cards. So I'm thinking probably Forest Lead the Stampede, and we can Distant Melody. But it looks like early game, Lead the Stampede is going to be better than Distant Melody. So maybe we get rid of Forest Melody, and then we can Lead the Stampede to nullify our mulligan. Oh, wow. That's pretty decent. I mean, like, they pay 3 mana to draw 2 cards. We pay 3 mana to draw 4 or 5 cards. And 4 mana? Give me a break. But we don't want to let them know what we're on. This is going to be the first time our opponent has seen us playing elves. So they have no idea what our range is. Okay, basic planes. So far, story checks out. We get another mana dork, so we're going to go ahead and play a Mystic and pass. First turn, Mystic, Fyndhorn, and Llanowar are better than Birchlore Rangers. Birchlore Rangers become better in the late game. Especially when you're going to be looking for blue or black mana. Birchlore Rangers is one of the ways that you can produce any colored mana. Okay, so we get Vanguard here. So that's the card we're actually going to want to play. And then we'll be able to start pumping it up next turn. Now that means our mana is a little bit slow, but our opponent didn't actually play anything there, so that's fine. We're going to be looking to play both the Llanowar Elves and the Fyndhorn Elves and attack with the Vanguard. Now they could snap it. That's probably what they're going to do, but that's going to leave us all of our mana for another turn. You can tell them that his cooked turkey offer only mediocre sustenance. That's just rude. Oh, wow. Oh, here's a counterspell. That's fascinating. I did not expect that at all. I think we still play Fyndhorn Elves over Birchlore Rangers here. And, you know, we don't even know if they're Canadian, so their Thanksgiving could be next month or not at all. This still makes me laugh, though. Your turkey only offers mediocre sustenance. That's rich. Thanks for that, handsome. I'm expecting an Ephemerate here. Not disappointed. So they're going to draw 4 cards for their 4 mana. Very good rate. And we get Nettle Sentinel. Nettle Sentinel and Birchlore Rangers are fantastic together. Unfortunately, we only have 3 mana, so we cannot put the Huntmaster out. So we'll start with the Sentinel. Okay, we have access to 2 mana. Play the Birchlore Rangers. Well, we'll have to see if our opponent can weather the storm. Okay, again, we have access to 2 mana. So we cannot play either of these cards. We'll attack for 4 and pass. Okay, they're going to be drawing another 2 cards. So that's a total of 6 cards drawn for their 4 mana. Very strong. And here's a God Pharaoh's Faithful, so they'll start gaining life with that. And a Familiar. Hopefully this is not Snap, but I imagine it is. Snap the Vanguard. I learned it from you. Oh, they're snapping the Rangers. I figured for sure they would snap the Vanguard. You want to snap the Rangers? That's fine. Okay, here's our Chaomancer, which will return snap to hand, so they can snap the Vanguard. Okay, I don't know how this is going to go late game, but early game, the opponent is doing very well. Okay, here's the snap on the Vanguard. And they still have a ton of cards in hand and quite a bit of mana, so they can keep on going. Looks like they're going to be holding that mana up for counter spells. And we find land. So we have access to a total of 4 mana right now, but I don't want to play the Huntmaster into their counter spell. So we're going to start with Elvish Vanguard. Okay, that resolves. Let's see if Birchlore Rangers will resolve. Okay, they're going to ephemerate the Archaeomancer to get Counterspell back in hand, and then Counterspell the Birchlore Rangers. At that point, we no longer have access to mana, so we have to pass. We have access to 1 single mana, which we can't do anything with, and we cannot attack through their dudes. Okay, they're going to ephemerate the Archaeomancer, returning Ephemerate, so their engine is running quite well. We are definitely on the back foot. They're able to ephemerate the Archaeomancer to continuously get value, return their spells. So we're going to be looking to concede this game quite soon. We're going to take a look what we find on top and if we can lead the Stampede, but I'm not very hopeful about the rest of this game. Okay, here's an Ephemerate, go get Counterspell, counter the Lead the Stampede, and then I have access to a single mana left over. So we're going to concede here. And we'll move on to game 2, keeping most of the time on our clock. Blue Elemental Blast is no good. It looks like we have no way to interact with our graveyard, which is unfortunate. Longbow is no good. Scattershot Archer is no good. So it looks like, honestly, our sideboard here is not very good in this matchup. I don't think Spidersilk Armor is really going to do anything. They're not going to be running any sweepers. Gleeful Sabotage doesn't hit any of their cards. Weather the Storm isn't important. And Essence Warden isn't important either. Viridian Longbow, we could potentially do something with that, but I don't think that it's worthwhile. We're just going to run it back with the main deck. So this is unfortunate. It seems like we have nothing for this matchup. Okay, we have 1 land, Nettle Sentinel and Birchlore Rangers, as well as 2 Distant Melodies. This hand is not great. I want to fill up the board much quicker, and this is not going to do that. I think I want to mulligan this hand. Okay, we still have a 1-land hand. We have Fyndhorn Elves and Sylvan Ranger to find land, Gruesome Fate to win the game. We can put a Timberwatch Elf onto the bottom. So we'll keep this, put a Timberwatch Elf down, and start with Fyndhorn Elves. Next turn, we're probably playing Priest of Titania. Okay, we find Forest. So we could play Priest and attack. We could play Timberwatch Elf, which seems quite good. I'm actually leaning towards playing the Timberwatch Elf this turn and starting to attack for large amounts of damage. And then we can play Priest of Titania next turn and start looking at mana. Oh, what the heck and heck? Hey, wow. That's cool. I've actually never seen that card used in Pauper. Fantastic. Good for the opponent. Okay, we find Distant Melody. We can use the Sylvan Ranger to go get Island and play the Priest of Titania as well. Okay, so they have access to Snap at this point. They could Snap the Priest and stifle our mana. They do not have access to basic Counterspell. So that's good to know. Also, the Quirion Ranger allows us to untap the Priest of Titania. So we're going to play that and hope they don't respond. They don't? Okay. So we'll tap the Priest for mana and play Distant Melody and draw 4. It's pretty good for 4 mana. Oh, a negate from the opponent. Good job. Good job, opponent. Okay, we have nothing else to do. So we could untap the Priest of Titania with a Quirion Ranger and hit them for 2 damage. That was an excellent negate from the opponent. I was thinking about regular counterspell, and they bring out the negate versus the Elves deck. Wow. Okay, now they have blockers for all of our things, and they can start killing our things as well. So we do not really want to be attacking here. We only have 1 card left in hand, but the Timberwatch Elf is exactly what we were looking to draw. So we can just go ahead and pass the turn here. And then if they try and block anything, we can use the Timberwatch Elf to kill what they use to block or to do massive damage to their face. Okay, here's Archaeomancer, which brings back Last Breath. But they don't have the mana to play it yet. Now they do. Okay, so that will kill the Timberwatch Elf. Okay, we find Distant Melody. They cannot counter it, so that's exactly the kind of thing we were looking for. Let's go ahead and draw 4. Yeah, mean opponent, countering our spells, killing our creatures. I don't think we actually want to attack here. They could kill 2 of our creatures, and we wouldn't get much value in return. We wouldn't actually get any value in return, so the attacks are bad. Okay, here's a Muldrifter. They do not have... Okay, no, because it cost 2 less. They didn't even need to ephemerate it. And they put the Priest of Titania back in hand. So we no longer have access to huge amounts of mana if we draw a draw spell. We do not. Okay, we'll go ahead and play out these creatures. And then we'll pass. We don't have access to black mana yet. But also we want to keep Gruesome Fate until it's a game-winning card. Doing 8 damage while they're at 18 is of no value to us. Okay, they're killing the Priest of Titania now. Those last breaths have been fantastic for the opponent. They don't really care about our life total. They only care about value. So giving us 4 life to kill a threat that is basically lethal to them is no problem. We're just drawing lands here. Can't fetch for an overgrown tomb. Nope. No fetch lands. Closest thing we got is Sylvan Ranger, and we don't run swamp. Okay, no blocks again. And they just have access to huge amounts of mana. They're snapping. Yep, so this match is basically over. I think we're in garbage time. We're going to take a peek at what we draw here, but I'm quite certain that we're dead. Okay, they get Last Breath back in hand to take care of any threat that is meaningful. And we get Priest of Titania. That's a nothing. We're going to concede here. Good job, opponent. Oh, we're going up against a Pos 72, and we won the die roll. We have a 1-land hand, but we have Fyndhorn Elves, so this is totally fine. We're going to keep. We also have Birchlore Rangers and Priest of Titania, So our mana is no problem. As long as we can keep the Fyndhorn Elves for one turn. There's only a few options to be able to kill a creature that fast in Pauper. So hopefully we can evade red and black, and we get green. So they cannot kill the Fyndhorn Elves, which means we can play the Priest of Titania. Honestly, I was kind of hoping for Forest there, so we could play the Birchlore Rangers as well. But I'm fine with just getting the Priest out this turn and powering out some big mana plays next turn. Hand as is, we're going to be playing Birchlore Rangers into Huntmaster. So our opponent has played Winding Way and has shown us that they are playing Elves as well. Sounds Fyndhorn to me. You monster. Yeah, we like puns here. Puns are great. So we have access to 1, so that's 2, 3, 4 mana, but we can play the Birchlore Rangers basically for free. And then for 4 mana, we'll play the Huntmaster, and that'll make the Vanguard better in future turns. We do still have access to 1 mana here, but that's not going to do us any good, so we'll pass. Just taking a look here at the wording of Distant Melody. Oh, is this the Walls deck? I was mistaken. I thought we were playing against Elves. This is Walls. So this is not a deck I've ever played against before. I don't actually know how the deck wins or works, so we're going to be figuring it out as we go. Okay, we get the island off the top, so that's good for Distant Melody. Let's start with Elvish Vanguard. Always yes. Don't pay for his walls. Hey, I'm Canadian. I'm not American. So let's take a quick look at how much mana we have access to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 7th is the island. So we could play Lead the Stampede, and then Distant Melody will be better on a later turn. We might have actually wanted to pay with Island there to give us access to more green mana. Okay, these cards are all basically the same. Let's go ahead and play the Sylvan Ranger with the blue mana and get another forest into hand. Okay, we've already played a land this turn. We already have a Birchlore Rangers in play, so let's just go ahead and play the Fyndhorn Elves. And I think we're going to have enough mana to lead the Stampede again. And we're going to want to lead the steed instead of Distant Melody, because we won't necessarily be able to untap the priest and play all the spells, and we'd just be discarding cards with the melody. Combo deck versus combo deck. Yes, indeed. So we did find Quirion Ranger here, so that's ideal. We're going to be able to untap the Priest of Titania with that. Okay, so we'll untap the priest. Tap it. Play Timberwatch Elf. Now I'm actually leaning towards using the Distant Melody here and try to win the game this turn right now. But we don't have another forest to untap the Quirion Ranger. So that is something to be aware of. Okay, let's make a blue mana and see if we can find Gruesome Fate. Okay, we do find Gruesome Fate. It's at 22, so let's go ahead and win. We'll make a black mana and end the game. Wow, Gruesome Fate has been incredible. I am loving that card. Okay, so again, I'm not too sure what the opponent is doing here. I'm going to take just a second to hit the internet and take a look at the Walls deck. So they play a bunch of mana elves. They play Leaf Caller to make any type of mana. Caretaker to untap a creature. What is that? Tap an untapped creature, make 1 mana of any color. Drawbridge, battlements. Bloodright Invoker. Okay, so they make a ton of mana and then use Bloodright Invoker to kill us. This is a really cool deck, actually. It has a bunch of singletons. It also runs Ulamog's Crusher. And in the sideboard, they have Gorilla Shaman, Scattershot Archer, Crimson Acolyte, Moment's Peace, Obsidian Acolyte, Standard Bearer, Fairy Macabre, Pulse of Marasa, and Nylea's Disciple. So, again, I don't think that many of our cards here are going to be of much value. We could bring in the Longbow as a way to try and kill the their Killcon, but I think they would rather have Prohibit and keep the Gruesome Fate. We're just going to submit with our main deck. At times like these, a second Gruesome Fate in sideboard might actually matter. That is a thought, definitely. Every time that I've cast Gruesome Fate, it has just been incredible. So that might be a consideration. Being able to have a second one in deck, so that if you do a mulligan and then put one of them onto the bottom, as we did in the past, or cycle past one with a Lead the Stampede, then you can still get one midway through the deck. So we have a bunch of ways to produce mana here. We are going to keep this and look to try and find a way to gain value and win the game. We're going to start with Fyndhorn Elves into Priest of Titania. And they're ramping for their first turn as well. So we get Nettle Sentinel, which is very good with Birchlore Rangers. But again, we want to start with a basic mana dork. And then next turn we can play... let's see here. Can we somehow play Birchlore Rangers, Nettle Sentinel, and Priest of Titania? That would be cool. Okay, so they got tons of mana. And they have 2 cards in hand. So we found Lead the Stampede. And we currently have access to 3 mana. So we could play the Priest of Titania, play the Birchlore Rangers, play the Nettle Sentinel, I think. I think that works. And then we can just basically play everything. Okay, yeah, so that's all we can do this turn. But next turn we have access to the Birchlore Rangers, Nettle Sentinel pseudo combo, which gives us a huge amount of mana. We're going to be able to play Quirion Ranger, Birchlore Rangers, and Lead the Stampede. Okay, so they only get Axebane Guardian out of their Lead the Stampede. It is a very good card for them. They're going to be able to make a ton of mana with it. But they are nearly out of cards, and they wanted that Lead the Stampede to do a lot better. Let's hope that our Lead the Stampede does better than theirs. Okay, so we find Elvish Mystic. Anyways, we're going to want to use Birchlore Rangers with the Nettle Sentinel and just start casting these cards. You're going to see what I mean here. The Nettle Sentinel is going to untap every time we play a card. So we're going to be able to use it to continuously create mana. That's pretty cool, right? And then we can also use it for the Lead the Stampede with the 2 forests and leave the Priest of Titania up for maximum mana. Okay, we draw 4. Okay, at this point we tap the Priest and play the Huntmaster. Play the Timberwatch Elf. Okay, we still have enough mana for everything, so we don't need to bother with the Nettle Sentinel shenanigans. Always yes, always yield. And we're looking to win next turn with a big swing. We don't need to do anything else this turn. We don't need to attack. We'll just pass. We cannot get past their Axebane Guardian. But if we get to our turn, then we can use Quirion Ranger to use the Timberwatch Elf twice. We're against Pauper MtG. They have a very familiar looking avatar. Okay, so we have 2 lands. Our 1-drops aren't the best in this scenario, but we are going to keep. We're going to play Birchlore Rangers into Elvish Vanguard Quirion Ranger. Can make a YouTube channel of the cut parts. I don't think that would be too exciting. Who knows though? Maybe people really enjoy like sitting around in queues. We don't have too many bloopers, and the bloopers that we do have... Oh, we're playing against Burn. The bloopers that we do have, we like to keep in. We're going to go ahead and keep all the mistakes in so that the people in the YouTube comments can tell us about what a bad player I am and how they would have done better. And when they tell me that, I can learn a little bit about my mistakes and become a better player. So we're going to do exactly what we had intended. We're going to play the Vanguard into Quirion Ranger. Okay. We do have Prohibit for next turn if we want to keep it open. They managed to kill our Vanguard, which is our best card in the on the board. But if they don't have another land here, that could be good for us. We have access to Lead the Stampede or Prohibit. Okay, so we can play the Birchlore Rangers, attack, and then we can return the forest and untap one of our creatures, and we'll still have access to a ton of mana. Okay, so we can play the Birchlore Rangers and hold up Prohibit, or we can Lead the Stampede. I like holding up Prohibit at this point, but we don't really have many good creatures. Maybe we actually want to Lead the Stampede. So we can play the Birchlore Rangers and we'll still have access to 3 mana. And then we'll only have 2 cards in hand, so even if we draw 5, we won't have to discard. Oh my god, did we just draw 5? We are so good at Magic. We just drew 5 cards for 3 mana and 1 card. Okay, let's pass. Unfortunately, none of these cards are Wellwisher. That would be the ideal. But if they're just going to be playing one removal spell a turn, then we're going to be doing pretty well. We're going to want to get Priest of Titania out. We get another Quirion Ranger, so we have access to 1, 2, 3. We have access to 3 mana. But as we play cards, we're going to have access to more mana. And Sylvan Ranger gets us a land as well. So we could play Sylvan Ranger, get Island, then tap the Birchlore Rangers and tap the Island, play Priest of Titania, then tap the Sylvan Ranger and the Priest of Titania and play Elvish Mystic. So that'll flood out the board. And we're going to play the Mystic. We want to keep the Quirion Ranger available from next turn. Although they're probably, if they have a kill spell, will kill the Priest of Titania. Because that is our best card on the board currently. But if they are screwed for one more turn, then we're looking amazing to take over this game. The best thing they could do right now is land Searing Blaze. But they get Skewer the Critics instead, and that kills the Priest. Okay, so we get Elvish Vanguard here, and we have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 6 mana, maybe 7. So we should be able to play the Vanguard and then play the Huntmaster. And with the Quirion Ranger, we might be able to do a little bit more. We haven't played a land yet this turn. But I would like to play the Huntmaster if possible first. So let's just check our mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a total of 4 mana. That would just get the Huntmaster out and not the Quirion Ranger. I think that that's worthwhile anyways. Let's do that. Okay, and we pass. Fortunately, the opponent has given us a ton of time. They do still have 6 cards in hand, but they're not able to deploy multiple spells a turn. And this is the first turn we're going to be able to attack. I would like to hold up Prohibit at this point. So we'll play the Quirion Ranger. We'll play the Fyndhorn Elves, and then we can put one of these lands back into play after the attack with Elvish Vanguard, and we can untap the Vanguard as well. And that'll be enough mana for 1 Prohibit. So let's do that. Attack all. Okay, and then we pass the turn from here. Holding up Prohibit, we have 1, 2, don't quite have access to 2 Prohibits. We probably could get a second Prohibit with the Quirion Ranger going. Okay, they have no attacks. We would just block with the Vanguard. So we just have to untap. Okay, we get Gruesome Fate, and they're at 10. We have 7 creatures on the board. So I think we can actually win here. Let's go ahead and attack. I think we attack all. And if they block Quirion Ranger, they die because of the Vanguard. That would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, putting them to 1. So maybe I keep the Quirion Ranger back. I think I keep the Quirion Ranger back. Just so I know that I can untap the Birchlore Rangers. And that'll give me the black mana I need to cast the Gruesome Fate. Okay, attack all, pull the Ranger back. They probably block Vanguard here. Okay, and then we tap for green. Untap anything. Make a black mana. And Gruesome Fate. We also have access to Prohibit here, but that's not important because they're tapped out. Okay, so we got really lucky against the opponent there. They kept a 1-land hand and they weren't able to draw out of it. However, in games 2 and 3, we gain a ton of life. We also have access to Blue Elemental Blast, so we're going to bring that in as well. And we have to start taking cards out. So I have to start thinking about cards that aren't as important in this matchup. Wellwisher, very, very good. Lys Alana's Huntmaster, not so much. Elvish Vanguard can become quite powerful if they let it get out of hand. I would like to keep the Vanguards. The Huntmaster, I can take a couple out, at least one. Same thing with the Timberwatch Elf. It's a game-breaking card, but the opponent has too many ways to remove it. So we're going to be taking out 2 more cards. We could take out the Prohibit. I'm actually leaning towards taking out 1 Distant Melody and 1 Lead the Stampede. We're going to be wanting to be playing spells more than drawing cards and having answers to what they do. So these sorceries are going to be a little bit of a liability. Okay, so no land hand, we have to mulligan. We are playing only 13 lands, so this is a risk that we have accepted. This hand is terrible, but I think we still have to keep it. It's pretty bad, right? Like 4 lands, we're going to mulligan this. And we get another no land hand, awful. It does have Weather the Storm and Sylvan Ranger. I think I still mulligan it. Another no land hand. Okay, here we go. We got lands. We're going to keep this. We have to put 4 cards back. Jeez. So we're going to keep these 4 cards. The Forest, Birchlore Rangers, Quirion Rangers, and Nettle Sentinel. No, we have to put 4 cards at the bottom. We don't get to keep 4. Damn. Yeah, that's terrible. But what can you do? You play 13 lands, and sometimes you just get screwed. We'll play Nettle Sentinel and pass. Expecting a Searing Blaze here. There it is. Okay, we'll play the Birchlore Rangers. That's fine if they want to use their spells to kill our creatures. Oh, well, that's pretty good. They get the Lava Runner here. So that's basically a Goblin Guide. So it looks like we're going to get 2 garbage games. And then hopefully our game 3 will be interesting. Okay, they still have 4 cards in hand with 3 lands. We're expecting to die very soon. We do not have blue mana for Prohibit. And we get Forest. Now they could be playing around Weather the Storm here, so I don't expect them to be playing many cards if they don't have to be. Okay, they put Rift Bolt in the exile zone and are just passing. We get Nettle Sentinel, we'll play it. And if they allow us, we will block. And we have 2 mana up, which is threatening Weather the Storm. Lava Spike. They still have 4 cards left. Needle Drop. And if they have Lightning Bolt plus Fire Blast, they would win even through Weather the Storm. Alright. Nothing I really want to change here as far as the sideboarding goes. Let's just go ahead and submit. And take the play. So we get lands and spells. We have Weather the Storm we're going to keep. And we'll start with Llanowar Elves. That'll give us more mana, even though we aren't going to have more power on the board. More mana is really where we want to be. We want to get that Huntmaster out as soon as possible, which looks like turn 3. We might hold up Weather the Storm here, depending on how we draw. We would love to be able to gain 9 life with that Weather the Storm. Okay, we get Distant Melody, fantastic. So we'll play Forest Nettle Sentinel. And we'll pass. Now that does kind of show the opponent that we have Weather the Storm here, otherwise we would attack. Okay, they get a Thermo Alchemist. So we could gain 6 life with Weather the Storm, but I think it's better to hold it. We aren't in danger of losing next turn, and we can play the Huntmaster, and then hopefully we'll get a better Weather the Storm later on. Okay, we get Wellwisher, an excellent card. Let's play the Huntmaster. We should have played that post-combat. We could have attacked with the Nettle Sentinel and then untapped it. But now that we're tapped out, there's no reason to attack with the Nettle Sentinel. They could easily see that they could just block it and not have to worry about anything. Now that we're tapped out, this is their turn to do maximum damage. So they really wanted to spend those last manas, but they didn't. So that's good for us. We're going to want to play the Wellwisher and then hold up Weather the Storm here. So we'll attack with the Nettle Sentinel and the Huntmaster. Okay, we're going to leave blue mana up, and we're going to tap our creature so they can't use a removal spell to cut us off of mana. Okay, always yes, always yield, always yes, always yield. Okay, now the Wellwisher is a must-kill target. And if they try and kill it, then we're going to use Weather the Storm on our own turn. We've cast 1 spell with Wellwisher, and now they're casting Electrickery, so that's going to basically wipe the board, but we're going to Weather the Storm and gain a ton of life. And by a ton, I mean 9, which is a lot. Now, we should have been thinking about Electrickery, but we did have Blue Elemental Blast in the deck, so I think that's fair. And the Huntmaster is going to give us plenty of more elves for the Distant Melody, as long as it sticks around. But they could be using a Lightning Bolt here to kill it, and they are. But that leaves our life total unmolested. Okay, we get another Weather the Storm. Okay. Let's start with an attack with Nettle Sentinel. They're probably going to block. Elves doesn't generally play any pump cards. We could have Gut Shot, for instance, but it's unlikely. So the opponent is making a good block here. We're going to play the Birchlore Rangers. And then we're going to pass. If they play spell here, we will weather the storm. Otherwise, we're just going to hold it. Okay, they're just passing. That's fine. We find Quirion Ranger. We'll play it. That was a mistake. I should have actually made the mana with these two creatures instead of tapping the forest for that. Okay, we'll draw 3. Not a very effective distant melody, but it is what it is. We're out of gas, we need something. Okay, we can play the Quirion Ranger here. I wonder, if we had played that a little bit better, I think we would have been able to cast Weather the Storm here. So we've already used this Quirion Ranger, and we've already played a land. So we could tap, make 1 mana, and then untap a thing, and we would not be able to cast anything further, so we just have to pass. Again, there's no value in attacking here. They can easily block. They see that we're tapped out. But with this second Weather the Storm here, I'm feeling fairly confident. If we can get it off for 9 again, that would be quite good. Okay, we find another Distant Melody. Fantastic. But I would like to start with a Lead the Stampede instead. I'm thinking about using the blue mana here because Lead the Stampede can't draw any counterspells. And we'll want more green mana for the creatures that we're drawing. Okay, we drew 4. So let's take a look at our mana. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have quite a bit of mana. I think that we can play the Huntmaster. But we could also play Fyndhorn Elves, Quirion Ranger, Weather the Storm. So that's 1, 2, 3. Getting the Huntmaster out this turn is going to be awkward. Let's get a Priest of Titania out instead. We still have quite a bit of life, and we still have access to quite a bit of mana. Okay, and I think we pass here. We could play another Quirion Ranger, but I'd like to keep some gas for the Huntmaster. And this will keep mana up for Weather the Storm. So we'll just go ahead and pass. Quick second here. Turn off auto yields. How many spells did we play this turn? We played Lead the Stampede, Fyndhorn Elves, and Priest of Titania. So we might want to go ahead and just Weather the Storm for a ton during our second main phase. Oh, thank you for the follow, Crown. Thank you very much. So, yeah, just double checking. We've turned off the auto yields. We're going to make a mana with a Nettle Sentinel. No problem, man. How's this going? It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well. We're on match 5 here. We have a single loss, so we're working for a 4-1. And just in general, I'm doing okay, you know? How you doing, Crown? Glad to hear it. Okay. Always on the lookout for someone playing Pauper. I'm glad you found this channel. I play Pauper every Tuesday and Thursday. And then I also put my leagues up on YouTube. So you can find my previous punt fests there. Okay, whether the storm count is a healthy 5. So we're going to gain a ton of life here. I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent conceded here. They're complaining about their bad luck. Okay, go ahead, opponent. Okay, our opponent has 5 mountains, which is too many. And they found the Searing Blaze. Okay, what is that targeting? It looks like the Nettle Sentinel, that's fine. They want to leave the Priest of Titania, that's very good for us. With the Distant Melody and Huntmaster, we're going to be able to explode next turn. Okay, our opponent is talking to us in what looks like Spanish. So I do not know what they're saying. I wonder if I can copy that text. Doesn't look like I can. Opponent has good reason to be salty, Crown. As Burn, facing 2 Weather the Storms like that, it's quite painful. So I understand how they're feeling. But that's what you get for playing Burn, honestly. Weather the Storm is a very common card in sideboards, so you should expect to see it. Let's see here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elves. I'd like to play Huntmaster here. Then I'll play Birchlore Rangers, and next turn I'll look to use the Distant Melody. Let's just take a quick look and see how much mana we have access to here. We haven't used the Quirion Ranger yet. No, I don't. I have some experience with elves. I have used it in the past, but this is the first time I'm playing elves online as a league. I've been having quite a bit of fun with it. I generally try and change decks every week, but it won't take very long before I start repeating, because there are some decks I just don't really feel any need to play or desire to play. I don't want to play Tron, which is one of the best decks, so that really cuts that out. I'm going to take a minute here to look at my mana. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana available, so we can Distant Melody. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elves. So we will not have to discard. So we're going to do that. Untap the Fyndhorn Elves and return a forest. Play the forest. Make blue mana. Okay. Okay, that's enough mana. Distant Melody. Our opponent is conceded. And we got there as a 4-1. Fantastic. I'm going to have to spend a second here and do a little bit of translating. I really kind of want to know what our opponent was saying to us. So I'm just going to write this down. I wasn't able to copy it. So I'm going to find out what they were saying. I'm just curious. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the deck list while I Google the whatever the heck that person was saying to me. Okay, so we got the deck list up on the screen. I think I kind of understood what he said. Oh, really? Was it anything that you care to write into chat? Spanish to English. Okay, here we go. Played against Satan Reckon yesterday and lost 0-2. Yes, they are a very good player. If you check the leaderboard, they have one of the best. Do you want an applause for that? Yeah, that looks like that looks like it. So yeah, that was the first one, just like you wrote it up. And the final thing he said was go steal and scam. So yeah, they were just being a little bit salty in that I had managed to have some excellent card draw. This is Walker's list, right? I'm not entirely sure. I just went to MTG Goldfish and grabbed the top list. So I'll just see if I can find it again. Let's see here. Where's Elves? It was on the top a minute ago. Why is it not even on the list anymore? There it is. Okay, so the list I'm running is actually championed by Nichols, who is someone that I've come across a couple times on the Pauper Discord, and they managed to 5-0 with this list. And I think that many people will continuously run the same lists, so while the list that I have is credited to Nichols, there are plenty of other Elves lists that are basically the same. Let's see here. So I found a Walker list here. And they were playing Harsh Sustenance instead of the Grisly Fate. The Harsh Sustenance is interesting because first off, it's an instant. And secondly, it gains life. But it deals damage. And it costs black and white mana as well as a generic. So it's more difficult to cast since you need 2 off colors, and damage is something that can be prevented. So I think I would prefer the Gruesome Fate over the Harsh Sustenance. Okay, well, that's our league. I had a lot of fun, and I'm going to be playing Elves again on Thursday. And if you stick with me for just a moment longer, I'm going to see if we can find someone to raid. This is not something that I do too often. I'm just going to take a quick look and see if there's anyone else playing Pauper right now. Okay, so there's no one else playing Pauper, so we're not going to bother with a raid. But thank you very much, everyone who came by to watch and commented. Thank you, Crown, for the follow today. And if you want to check out some of this league that maybe you missed, or any of my past leagues, check me out on YouTube. You can find the link in my bio, or you can search Cooper the Red and look for a ferret face. Yeah, that's it for today. So have a wonderful day, and hope to see you again next time. Cheers.